Now that we have set the context for that amazing day at Mount Sinai and have presented the first of the 10 important words, things, matters, or even commandments, let's keep reading to understand what's next. My name is Keith Johnson, and this is the second presentation of our 10-part series, 10 Matters That Still Matter to God. Welcome to Scripture Bytes. Let's go right to our control verse.
Uploading scripture.
CB, please upload English control verse in scroll source panel. We're reading from the popular King James Version in this series, but will refer to other English translations as we progress. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, Exodus 20 verse 3, King James Version. What we're focusing on in this edition are 7 Hebrew words found in the scroll source that are clear and concise. We read Hebrew from right to left, and when necessary, we'll add the vowel markers to assist in both the pronunciation and understanding of our scripture bite. Lo yihyeh lecha Elohim acherim al panai. When I look at this verse in the source, I almost feel like I should push a red alert button.
Red alert.
Oh, I guess when I say red alert, it's voice activated.
Red alert.
This SBI is way too cool. We are immediately faced with a huge challenge. In the 4th word of this verse, we find the exact same word for God, Elohim, that is also in the 1st verse in this chapter that provides the title of our series, 10 Matters That Still Matter to God, to Elohim. And God, Elohim, spake all these words saying, Exodus 20 verse 1. The title God is a translation of the Hebrew word Elohim, which is spelled and spoken exactly like the word we find in our control verse. We need to take a quick break to clearly define the difference between the Elohim God in 20 verse 1 and the Elohim gods that we are forbidden to deal with in our scripture bite verse, Exodus 20 verse 3. How can we tell the difference between Elohim God singular and Elohim gods plural if they are both spelled and spoken exactly the same? SBI to the rescue. Many people have historically made the assertion that since the word Elohim is in the masculine plural form, it would mean that God is in some way plural. This notion is fundamentally at odds with the scriptural witness that Elohim declares himself to be the one and only singular God. This problem can be solved through understanding Hebrew grammar without the need to resort to man-made theology. Back to the scroll. Vayidaber Elohim et kol hadevarim ha'ele le'amor. And God spake all these words, saying. Grammar alert. Every noun has to match its verb or adjective in number and gender, meaning that when a noun is to be understood as plural, any related verbs or adjectives will also be plural. And if a noun is to be understood as singular, any related verbs or adjectives will also be singular. In fact, in this verse, we have a concrete example of exactly what we're talking about. In our control verse, we see these 2 words, Elohim acherim, for the word other gods. Here we have the plural gods modified by a plural adjective, acherim, other. So what is happening with Vayidaber Elohim, and God spoke, which looks like a plural noun, Elohim, but is connected to a singular verb, Vayidaber? Somebody say, uh-oh, unless there's an explanation. Whenever we see the noun Elohim used in reference to the one true God, which looks like, smells like, but doesn't act like a plural noun, we will usually find it used with a singular adjective or verb. But why? It's called a majestic plural. Suffice it to say that you will not find an example where Elohim, when connected to a plural verb or adjective, refers to the one true God. By the same token, when you see Elohim connected to a singular verb or adjective, you can almost always be sure that it's referring to the one true God. Okay, there are a few exceptions. CB, please upload an example of Elohim connected to a singular verb or adjective, but not referring to the one true God.
Uploading Exodus, chapter 7,
Great.
verse 1.
And the Lord said to Moses, see, I have made you like God, literally an Elohim, to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron shall be your prophet. Exodus chapter 7, verse 1 in the King James Version. On a related note, to do justice to this important topic, and because of how easily folks can get confused about this issue, I probably need to dedicate an entire scripture bite to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, where it says, let us make man in our image. But for now, I hope you'll do your own digging. Now back to our control verse already in progress. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I have to admit, I am not sure what before me means. Does it mean putting these gods in line before God, or does it mean something more like a sense of priority? Maybe it means putting gods in front of him like in his face. Let's take a look at the words the KJV translators saw that determined their translation of before me. Lo yihye laka Elohim acharim al panai. One more grammar alert. The last two words are al panai, which is a preposition followed by a noun in the masculine plural construct form with a first common singular suffix meaning of me. The reason panai is plural is because most body parts are referred to in the plural form in Hebrew. We find this exact Hebrew phrase, al panai, 12 times in Scripture. The KJV translates it with the following variations: before me, continually to my face, upon my face, on my face, or before my face. 4 of the 5 variations use the word face for panai, whereas in our verse, they decided to use before me for the same 2 Hebrew words. Okay, what does the verse mean? Let's translate it with the meaning of the original text in mind. You shall have no other gods upon my face. That's the SBV version. Meaning, do not bring, acknowledge, or worship any other gods next to me, in front of me, beside me, or in my face, or for that matter, anywhere in my presence. Now, let's have some fun memorizing the verse in Hebrew. Lo yihye lecha Elohim acharim al panai. Okay, nice and slow. Only 7 Hebrew words. The first 3 words mean you shall not have. Lo yihye lecha. The next 2 words mean other gods, Elohim acharim. And the final 2 words mean upon my face, al panai. Now that we have those 7 words hidden in our hearts, your homework is to study the verses that will add more context to our scripture bite. The following 3 verses help God's people understand exactly what it looks like to bring, quote, other gods upon his face. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children until the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Exodus 20, 4-6, King James Version. Well, now that you have the background to the verse that you have in your heart, I am really excited for the next scripture bite. So until next time, go ahead and say it. Keep reading.
This is your SBI assistant. Did you enjoy this scripture bite? If so, share it with your friends. Be sure to become a free member at bfainternational.com to download a PDF companion study guide for this edition of Scripture Bites. Visit bfainternational.com today to join the conversation.